asked to discuss today as well. I mean, this is from page 4 of your October report tracking silver and gold on long-term monthly log charts. Now, I just want to give some context to the viewer because, I mean, your report argues that gold is repeatedly broken into new higher price ranges while silver was contained in the same kind of broad range from roughly half a century, right? I mean, at the same time, you wrote that gold was about fourfold off of its 2015 bear market low compared with prior roughly eightfold advances. So, I mean, meanwhile, silver only marginally traded above its long-term range. I mean, you kind of concluded that MSA expected silver to unleash, and I quote, unleash into a totally new price reality. So are you saying silver's kind of been mispriced for 50 years?
Yeah, well, if you go back and look, well, first off, the thing you should really look at, the fundamental data point, is an M2 chart. Federal Reserve of St. Louis, go to their site to type in M2. And you can go back and click on a month, like 1975, January, February, March. You can see where the money supply was each month. And do the math between where we were, let's say, in 1980 and where it is now. It's like a 25-fold gain in the money supply. Not 25%, 25-fold, okay? And you look at a gold chart, and remember, people like to talk about silver as an industrial metal, and it is. But it's also money. It has been money for 3,000 years, right alongside of gold. It's been the poor man's gold. But it has an industrial supply-demand deficit now for 5 years in a row, I think. And so you've got a lot of things building under silver. Why has silver, between 1975 and October of last year, when that chart that I sent you was pushing the top of that range, that $50 ceiling. It had been caught in a range that was a tenfold range from about $4 to $5 on the bottom to 50 for 50 years, half a century, caught in a box. Gold, in each of the bull swings that silver went back to 50, et cetera, made vastly new highs each time. In fact, when you measure gold from its bear low that preceded any bull market high, like from 1976 was a 50% drop from the 75 high. Start there. 1980 it was an 8-fold gain in gold price. Then you go to 2001 where gold had pulled back and was about 260, actually 256. And by 2011, an 8-fold gain in gold price. Same multiple, same dimension of gain without the kind of fundamentals we have now, which are far more onerous, far more bullish for gold. Now, where's our bear low? It was 1,050 in 2015. We're only 4-fold, 5-fold, okay? We're not 8-fold. 8-fold would put gold like $8,500, and then you will at least be able to say, oh, gold just had a bull market that matched the 2 prior ones. Ho-hum, big deal, okay? And yet we have a global government bond crisis now, something we've never had before, which has monetary waves. How come silver was caught in the box the whole time up until October? You can look at a chart of copper and go back to 75 through the present. Copper for multiple decades was 50 cents to $1.50, 50 cents to $1.50. In late 2005, copper punched up above the $1.50 level, and within several quarters reached $4.10 in a vertical surge in several quarters. Multiple decades taken out, several quarters it quadrupled its average price, quintupled above the low, and lived in a new reality after that. Instead, copper didn't go back to 50 cents. It basically lived in a $3.50 range. Now it's $6.40. Okay. Now, how come copper wasn't restrained, gold wasn't restrained, heck, lead wasn't restrained. Lead did the same thing copper did. It did it in 2007. What the hell's going on with silver? Well, we know the stories that are out there, and they're not just stories. They're validated. There's been an attempt to suppress the price of silver. Well, obviously those guys failed because last October, silver said, okay, no more. And it produced the first surge in a tantrum. Not the satisfying surge, but the first statement, I'm out of here. I'm going to catch up to old reality, make a new reality, just like copper did, just like gold did. And I think after we come out of this congestion zone, which will be viewed in hindsight as a congestion zone, What's on the other side of that will be far sharper and more vertical than what preceded it.
Right.
And I still think that's going to happen. I have no reason to change that view. It's a matter now of defining when does that upturn occur sufficiently to say, okay, we're coming out of here.
Yeah.
And my numbers are not all that far overhead.
And I mean, to your point, I mean, if they failed in October, I mean, why is
Yeah.
silver kind of still being hit this hard today? Is it just noise, or are they still able to control the short-term tape?
Well, probably there's some influence there. It could also be that the public buys into the argument that, gee, it's been vertical. Well, when you look at an arithmetic chart, a dollar scale chart, yeah, it looks vertical. You went from, broke out over 50 and went to 120 briefly. And now you're living in a range that's about 50% higher, $75, let's call it, than the old highs. You're still not that far above them on a ratio basis. But when you go back and study like that copper move I told you about, or the lead move, where multiple decades of lead action suddenly broke out, several quarters it quadrupled, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You put those on a ratio chart, a logarithmic scaled monthly silver chart that I'd sent you, and you take the dimension of that range, which was a tenfold basically, silver, $4, $5 lows to 50, $4,
Yeah.
$5, tenfold range. Add that to the range on a ratio scale, and it says what? $500.
Yeah.
And if you go back and study the price of silver in relation to the money supply and what gold's done versus the money supply, which is at least match it 25-fold since the 70s, 80s, silver hasn't. If silver merely caught up to that relationship to the money supply, or caught up to what copper did in late 2005, early 2006, silver would be $500.
Yeah.
Okay. There's other reasons for this 300 to 500 zone, not just those. But anyway, I think we're headed there. I don't see anything but congestion here. And if we'd had this interview a week ago, we'd been looking at upticks. People would be smiling.
Yeah. It's pretty
it's
wild.
like every other week. They smile, they frown, they smile, they frown. And yet for 6 months, unless you shorted at $100, you're not making any money really.
Yeah.
It's up and down.